It starts with a simple idea, but one that quietly changes the way you think. Imagine someone telling you that your whole life comes down to one choice, to believe or not believe in God. You don't have clear proof either way, but the consequences, they say, could be endless. This is the idea behind Blaise Pascal's wager, a famous argument that doesn't try to prove God exists, but instead asks, what's the smartest choice you can make? Pascal's wager is not really about truth, it's about decision making. Pascal looks at belief like a kind of bet. If you believe in God and God exists, you gain everything, eternal happiness. If you believe and God doesn't exist, you don't lose much, maybe some time, some habits, some pleasures. But if you don't believe and God does exist, then you lose everything. And if you don't believe and God doesn't exist, you gain very little. From this point of view, believing seemed like the safer option. It's like choosing the path with the least risk and the biggest possible reward. At first, this sounds very logical. Pascal was a mathematician, so he thought in terms of chances, risks, and outcomes. If one option can give you an infinite reward, even if the chance is small, it might still be worth choosing. So, according to this idea, believing in God is simply the smarter move. But this is where things start to feel less clear. The first problem is simple. Can you really choose to believe something just because it's useful? Belief doesn't usually work this way. You can't just decide, I will believe this now, the same way you decide what to eat or what to wear. Belief often comes from being convinced, from feeling something in true, not from calculation. So, if someone believes only because it seems like a safe choice, is that real belief or it's just pretending? And if God knows everything, wouldn't that matter? Another issue appears when you think about how many religions exist. Pascal's wager talks about believing in God, but which God? Different religions have different ideas about what God is like, and what He expects. Some reward belief, others focus more on actions, and some don't even fit into this system at all. This creates what many call the many gods problem. If there are many possible versions of God, then choosing what to believe becomes much harder. Believing in one might mean being wrong about another, so the safe choice is no longer so simple. There's also the idea of infinite reward and infinite punishment. Pascal's argument depends a lot on this, but infinity is a strange concept. It doesn't behave like normal numbers. When you bring infinity into a decision, it can make everything else seem small or meaningless. This creates a problem. If different choices all involve some kind of infinite outcome, how do you compare them? How do you decide which one is better? The logic that seemed clear at first can start to break down. Pascal also suggested something interesting. He said that if you don't believe, you can start by acting like you do. Go to religious places, follow the practices, be part of the community. Over time, he thought belief might come naturally. In a way, this sounds practical. Some are shaped by what they do and what they repeat. But it also raises a question. If belief comes from habit, is it still genuine? Or is it just something learned without deep conviction? Another important issue is motivation. In Pascal's wager, belief is chosen to avoid punishment and gain reward. It's a very human way of thinking, trying to avoid loss and get something good, but many people feel that belief should be sincere, not based on fear or self-interest. So, this creates a kind of tension. The wager encourages belief for practical reasons, but those reasons might not match what belief is supposed to be. There is also a deeper question behind all this. Should we treat big life questions like a game of risk and reward? Pascal looks at belief the way someone might look at a business decision, but belief, meaning, and existence feel more personal and more complex than that. For some people, reduce belief into a calculation feels uncomfortable, like something important is being missed. And yet, Pascal's wager remains powerful, not because it proves anything, but because it forces you to think. It puts you in a situation where you have to make a choice without having all the answers. It shows how difficult it is to act when you are not sure what is true. In the end, the wager doesn't tell you what to believe. It asks a different question. What do you do when you don't know? It shifts the focus from truth to choice. And in doing that, it reveals something very human, our need to decision, even when certainty is out of reach. Pascal's idea stays alive not because it's perfect, but because it touches that space between logic and belief.